Along with me, your host Vivek Mahbubani, joined with the other co-host who is
Muhammad Magdi. I'm still here.
Yeah, he's still here, and you can find him at the other Muhammad, and you can find myself at Funny Vivek. Letter M, you know the drill.
That's right.
So it's good to see that for a change we have no guests today.
Woo!
Which means we have so much confidence in ourselves that we're going to entertain you for the next 45 minutes for free.
Yeah, exactly. Usually people pay for that.
Exactly. Yeah, but today we're going to be very kind to everybody. Mostly because actually now comedy, the whole scene's kind of opening up again.
Yeah,
a lot of shows, I have to say, right? Now, this is the thing, though. Some people will come to shows, they're like, oh, it was a great night. You have other friends who went to shows like it was a terrible night. It's like it all depends on which show you go to.
Right.
Because every comedian has their own process. They kind of, some of them are already seasoned, some of them are new. So it's very important that when you go to a show, you kind of maybe get to know who's going to be in the lineup, because that way you know what to expect.
Yeah.
Usually it's very easy to judge. Number one, if it's on a weeknight, it's highly likely that, just relax, just go and enjoy the show. Don't be like, I want to have like a killer show. I want to be
right. Because on a weeknight, most of the time it's an open mic anyway, which we'll get into later.
Yeah.
But sometimes what I've seen is that people go to open mics and they go to a comedy show.
Yeah.
And they don't actually know if it's like, what is the concept of open mic. A lot of the times the host of the open mic tells people from the beginning that this is an open mic, which means people are going to be trying new stuff. You're going to see brand new people, so lower your expectations.
Yeah.
And obviously the joke always is like, you got your money's worth, which is absolutely free.
Nothing. Yeah, you got a drink, so what are you complaining? That's the thing, strange thing with Cantonese as well we had in the beginning. So we were telling people about open mics and everything. They're like, so wait, let me understand. So you're rehearsing? I'm like, no, we're not rehearsing.
Yeah.
We're just trying ideas out. They're like, so why don't you work it out? Then you call me and I'll come watch the show. Right? I'm like, no, but we need you there to kind of see if a response, gets a response from the audience. And they're like, so wait, let me understand this. So you want me to come watch you kind of halfway there? I'm like, yeah.
I mean, in their defense, it is kind of a rehearsal in a way.
Yes.
Yeah, so even the bit that is like kind of polished, but you haven't done it for a long time, and you know you have a big show coming up, you need to get it out again, so you remember the timing and the wording and all of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when they come and they don't know that, they might think like, you know that you're a famous, funny guy, and they just expect you to kill.
Oh,
and you go to open mic, you're like, so...
This guy's terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
My friends are liars.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I like to tell people, that the whole process is different. Every time you try a new comedy bit or new idea, you actually start from zero.
Yeah.
So a lot of people need to understand that whenever you go to open mic nights, you go there with an open mind of like, all right, if I laugh, great. If I don't, whatever. But also the fun part is that in Cantonese, we had this happen. Like some people come every week. All right, every
that's
mic.
terrible.
It's terrible in a way, but you've got the really rare few who actually want to see how did you transform this from last week.
Those are the comedy nerds.
Yeah,
basically.
the nerds. They're like, oh, what did they do? Okay, I see they use this technique, and I see what he did over there.
That's really cool, actually, because I think these people eventually start trying out open mic themselves.
So we actually, I'll give you a simple example. So in Cantonese open mic, so normally our Cantonese open mics used to be only in Bar 109 in Wan Chai every first and third Tuesday of the month, right? Mm-hmm. So then you would have like the Wan Chai group that would just have nothing to do on Tuesday night and come on down.
Yeah.
So you see the same people, and initially the first time you see them, like, oh, my same guys, it's just the same bit. Oh, I don't know, right? So in a way, it's good because then you kind of feel obligated to kind of vary or your bit
change it up a bit.
Change it up a bit. At the same time, then you kind of look at them like, so you're back again? Like, yeah, that was cool. I like what you did over there. I was like, wait, what? You mean
you noticed?
You noticed?
Yeah.
Oh, this is cool. And then they would go become like the comedy nerds. And then eventually they'd be like, oh, you know what? This seems like fun. I want to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And then they go up there, and then we're all comedians going like, shh, you suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like, watching like professionals in a sport that make it look very easy.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can do that.
Yeah.
And then, you're given the chance to, you're 1 minute and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that
actually, there are a few examples. Like back in Shanghai, we had this guy Laurent, who was an audience member for years, and he was kind of the same thing. He was just like a religious follower of Kung Fu comedy.
Yeah.
And he would come to a lot of the shows, and then eventually he just got the basics of what it takes to write a joke.
Yeah.
And then he signed up for open mic. Same for Brian Bentley, actually. I heard he was a local comedian here.
Yeah, he was actually watching a lot of shows. I remember
exactly.
in front
I heard
rows and all
that
the
was
time.
even before my time. But the
Correct.
guys told me that he used to come with Lisa, his girlfriend, wife,
Yeah.
all the time to the shows. And then eventually he just signed up, and now he's the regular host of the open mic.
Yeah.
Ironically.
Ironic. So every Tuesday night at Aftermath, you will see Brian up on stage hosting the open mic. Sometimes talking a lot, sometimes not talking much, and everything. Whatever it takes, man. So that's another option that everybody has. So that's a good example of like some people, you know, people have a slow process where I'm a comedy lover, but after you watch enough shows, you kind of go like, oh, I want to feel that on stage. I want to experience that. And then yes, it is actually a big jump, as in like, oh, this is a lot of pressure. Like, oh my God,
it's actually
how do I do this?
unlike something like music, for example, when you know that you're watching a band and you really like the bass guitar, but then you also know it's so hard to start learning it. So you just kind of accept the fact that you'll always be just a fan. But comedy is one of the things, I don't actually believe that people can be funny or not funny. I genuinely don't believe that. I believe that people can learn, not necessarily to be naturally funny, but they can learn how to write a joke. And there's a lot of famous comedians who actually say that off stage they're not funny people at all. They're just prolific writers, or they're good actors, or both. So you just know how to do the thing. And the funny thing about comedy is that there is no age limit either.
Correct.
So unlike music, also pretty much there is no age limit, but like something like sports, like if you are a big fan of football, like soccer, whatever, if you're American, but you're 45, you're not gonna play football professionally, no matter how hard you try.
Your body just can't do it.
Your body you can't start at 45. It's impossible. But for comedy, there are comics, people who started at 50 and then became amazing.
Rodney Dangerfield only started at 40-something years old and became like huge.
Bill Burr only blew up after that Philly rant, and I think he was like late 30s or early 40s. For that, he was doing all right, but he was not the household name that he is now.
Correct.
So Louis C.K. is exactly the same. After 40s, before that, he has sets from like the early 2000s when he talks about being broke. And he was actually broke.
He was just telling my life. I mean, George Carlin was a good example. In the beginning, he was basically doing an act that was entertaining, is pleasing the audience. But it was never him. So I was reading his biography the other day, and he basically talked about it the first, like, I don't know how many years. He was doing well. He was on TV, and he was doing his thing. He was doing accents and everything. But then he was like, this is not me. I'm just like putting on a show, but I have more to say. I'm feeling not authentic. So that's another thing. The progression of comedy, very often people start, I want to do crowd work. I want to try this. I said, look, first things first, okay? Just go up there and open mic. Just go up there and try it out, because like the spotlight's on your face, the mic, the people staring at you, is a lot of things to process at one moment. But after all, once you get that down, where the spotlight no longer blinds you, you know, people staring at you, you're like, look at me, I don't care, right? And then you can go to the next step. So that's actually what you'll find, is that at different open mics, you get a different experience. So you might do an open mic at, let's say, Bar 109 in Lockhart Road on a Monday night, and you'll be like, oh, this is like a small little room. It's got the red brick walls, the lights are kind of shimmering and everything, whatever. And then you do it, you're like, hey, this is pretty raw, pretty easy. I can do it. Then you do the same thing. You go to Aftermath the second night on Tuesday. You're like, whoa, this feels a bit more focused. Right. You got the bartenders.
The setup is different. The bartenders are in the back watching you. And also the stage is higher, so you feel more like a performer. And 109, there is no stage. There's no actual stage, so you're all on the same level. And a lot of people don't understand these really small differences as well. Make a really big effect on the show. Not just for the performer, but for the audience.
Correct.
When the audience, when they're sitting with you on the same level, they have less respect to you than when you're just elevated a little bit. Hence the concept of a stage.
Less respect, less expectation as well. They're like, we're on the same floor. I don't really care.
We're all on the same floor.
When you're on stage, I got to look up. You're forcing me to look up to you. Oh, you better be worth it. So that's another thing that I tell people when you come to open mic, go to different ones and try them out and see what it's like. And you'd be like, oh, I seem to like this kind of atmosphere. And again, the same comedian could be really good on a higher elevated stage, could be terrible on the floor.
Right.
Just how they just don't seem to be able to take it. So that's the whole process. And the funny thing is that before you even do open mics, you got to do the writing, right?
Of course.
And a lot of times I meet people that are like, oh, I want to try open mic. I'm like, okay, just go. They're like, oh, I want to write a bit better. I'm like, look. What is great in your notebook probably will not fly on stage until you try it out. So that's another process.
And then you find random laugh points that you didn't even know, like the setup, right? And you're like, okay, now that's the setup. Change it around because the punchline is not working. Just switch them, and then lead up to that. Now your punchline. But it's all trial and error. There is nothing else to it.
So let me ask you this, Mo. Like, what is if I had to ask you, like, what's your writing process? What was your flow from like a zero, no idea to like bit that's on stage? Do you have a special process?
Kind of not really special, but actually, there is it's kind of like overdone now, but there is a concept of finding your voice. I'm doing air quotes because that's something a lot of the comics talk about. And when I started in 2013, I mean, I would say I'm less than 10 years into comedy, so I don't think I've even found it completely, but I found more of a style that I'm more comfortable with. But the people who are hardcore fans who have followed us from Shanghai would know that I've had so many different styles over the years.
Yeah.
I was actually only doing one-liners for like 6 months at some point.
Oh, yeah.
And it was fun to discover and explore. And then I had also the sit down telling a story only. Like I do it sometimes now on longer shows.
Yeah.
But I was only that guy for another whatever, how many months as well. I'm just sitting down, talking slowly and wearing a hat. I was just trying different things to kind of find...
Yeah.
So now the refined writing process that I have involves just taking notes on my phone whenever something happens or whenever I come up with an idea. And I'm sure you have been through the same thing when you're like right before you fall asleep and you have this idea and you're like, I'll write it down in the morning. And then you wake up, you're like, shit.
Yeah, not
this
happening.
was so funny in my head.
What was it like?
I don't even remember the topic anymore a lot of the times.
Correct.
So now I write so it starts with writing just a title basically.
Yeah, so you have a direction.
Yeah, exactly. I also know what it is because I kind of have terrible memory.
Yeah.
So like, for example, a bit I'm working on, which we can discuss later, is the concept of savior complex.
Yeah.
Which basically only started with my friend who's
Wait, when you say savior complex, as in your face color or like the housing estate?
Both.
Okay.
No, so my friend who's a therapist, I was talking to him about something and he goes, yeah, you have what we call in psychology the savior complex. And I didn't know what it is.
Oh, savior. I thought you meant save your complex.
What? Savior?
I was like, wait, why would you want to save your complex? It's like, you have an issue, save it. It's like, what? I was so confused. You say save your complex. I'm like, why would you want to save like a housing estate? Or like you have like a psychological issue, like the doctor's like, oh, don't do anything about save that.
Yeah, he's like, why do you save your complex where you live all the time?
Oh, save your complex. Okay. Oh, man. So this is a good example of like what was funny on paper could be misunderstood by the audience and they're like laughing or something and you're like, why? What's going on?
Yeah.
Then someone tells you like, oh, that's what you've been getting.
Yeah, especially with a multicultural place like Hong Kong where people have different accents and stuff.
Yeah.
So you're 100% right. You could be an audience in this bit. I'm talking about the savior complex and they think I'm talking about something completely different. But then you go back and adjust, right? You're like, okay, I have to say this clearer or whatever. So anyway, so that happened like a month ago or whatever. I was on the phone with him. He was like, I was complaining about whatever. And he goes, yeah, you have the savior complex. I'm like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
He goes, that's like when you seek other damaged people to fix them so you can feel better about yourself and you never address your own issues.
Yeah. Oh, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so he explained it to me and we went on. I never told him that I think there's something funny there. And literally while I was with him on the phone, I wrote down on my note, Savior Jesus. Because I made a connection with that must have been how he got his nickname, the Savior.
Yeah.
So now after the call or when I sat down to write, I now have two things to link. The Savior complex and me and Jesus.
Yeah.
Right? And then, you start coming up with like a few things, comparisons or similarities or differences.
Yeah.
Because the joke structure sometimes can be built on how two things are very similar or very different.
Yeah.
So you kind of write down a list maybe, like, you do rule of threes or whatever.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're like, okay, I have a few things. And then you go to open mic with them. Or at least that's my process. I go to open mic the first time. A lot of the time it kind of sucks because I'm just getting it out.
Yeah.
Because going back to what we were talking about, you can't do it just by yourself.
Correct. I mean, that's usually the first process for a lot of comedians is that just running it through one time in front of an actual audience.
Yes.
Just getting it out of your head and into the room. It's another thing, like a lot of people say, also, do you like look in the mirror and practice sometimes? I'm like, I never do that.
No.
Because it's weird because like you're looking at yourself, I'm like, this gesture doesn't seem to work for me. I'd rather do it to real audience because then I see they're nodding and they're not nodding. I'm like, okay, this doesn't seem to fly.
Also, we don't watch ourselves when we're on stage. I don't actually think it's a good practice even to look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
Because now you have that image in your head.
Yeah, this is what I look like.
It's not great. When we did the show at the lawn, one of the things that kind of distracted me was the fact that we have
a live camera
on the other side of the lawn.
Yeah.
And you can kind of still see yourself.
Yeah.
And in a way, you have to get that out of your head.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll just be looking at yourself the whole time.
So this was the funny thing is that actually when I arrived, you already fixed the delay issue. But when you told me that there might be a little lag in the video and everything, I was thinking to myself how funny it would be that you're doing your set. you're doing something and you mess up and you're watching the video like he's gonna do it, he's gonna mess it up. Oh, he messed up. Oh, and you're like hoping like somehow in the video that doesn't happen. Just,
right. Yeah.
But you're like, I did it. It's gonna happen in the next 1 second. I'm gonna mess it up. See, I messed it up in the video.
Which would actually, could be a good save in a way.
Yeah.
If you do tank something and you address it, you're like, watch it happen again.
Yeah.
Here.
Let's look at an instant replay of me bombing.
It's like if you shoot like a terrible penalty and you completely miss and then now you have to watch the replay.
Yeah, exactly. They're analyzing what he went wrong. You're like, I don't need you to tell me. I did that. Okay.
Yeah. So what is your writing process like?
My writing process, so this has been an evolution. In the beginning, for me, it was really like inspiration comes, I got to note it down. So I would have a really strong habit of like having some way to note stuff down. I'd be on the street, see something or just something comes into my head. I have to write it down, regardless of whether I put it on my phone or on paper. It's out of my head.
Yeah.
So that used to be my way that inspiration strikes and I'm ready to catch it. After a while, I was like, you know what? I want to challenge myself and not rely only on material, but actually see if I can make stuff on the spot. So there was a phase when I was doing a lot of crowd work. Like my set would be like 70% just crowd work, just talking to people and doing that. And it was really good training because then you're on your feet. You have to like feel the audience, get the body language response and everything.
Yeah.
Then eventually I was like, okay, I don't want to rely on, I'm not calling it a crutch, but I don't want to rely on crowd work because then you're not really writing and forcing yourself to be funny for 10 full minutes.
Yeah,
like,
and sometimes the audience is very stiff and then you have nothing to fall back on.
Correct, yeah. So then also every now and then you do a whole set of 10 minutes, you do 9 of crowd work and you're like, they won't remember me because they're like, well, guy's funny, but I can't refer to him in any way.
Yeah, he had no actual personality in a way.
Correct, I didn't really get to know you. Were just like a cheeky guy on stage. So then I was like, okay, let me do this. I want to have 0 crowd work and just go all material. If you give me 10 minutes, it has to be purely material.
Yeah.
So then it was just random ideas that I would kind of write down every now and then. Then I said, okay, now I want to like challenge myself to do like a full long bits.
Yeah.
So one of my longest bits I ever could put together was an actual real experience I had when I went to Kuala Lumpur for this Valentine's Day event that I hosted. And so basically that made me go like, hey, it's cool to do like long form stories, but also have a lot of punchlines.
Yeah.
So now my writing process is basically anything that pisses me off, I write that down.
Yeah.
Right. And then once I do that, I have to sit down for like a good hour and develop that and like go drill into every moment of that whole experience.
Yeah.
Like, how did I feel? What was I thinking? What was I worried? Did I misunderstand that?
Yeah.
Small silly things, which I'll share in a second when we do the open mic session of the podcast. So that's how it is. And then lastly, the process is I will repeat that story at open mics one after another, film it, watch it every single time.
Wow.
And be like, okay, which part did I like? Which part did I not like? Well, let me take the beginning and throw it away and try with this beginning. So I have a lot of that adjustment I'm trying to do until I get like, let's say, my goal is that every 3 weeks I have like a 5-minute bit where it's like, okay, this is pretty solid now.
As you got more experience, did you start getting more comfortable with telling stories? Because sometimes even if you have a lot of tags, sometimes the setup is too long.
Yeah.
Did you start getting comfortable with people just sitting in silence listening to you?
I'm not there yet. No. I feel awkward because I'm like, well, they paid money, they want to be laughing.
True.
Yeah, but if I do like a headline show, like a 45-minute, 1 hour show, then in the middle I will actually go use my I wouldn't say not refined, but the stuff that really takes a little while for you to kind of get to it. But it's not the silence issue, it's that I've really won them over. Yeah. So they're really genuinely interested. So like, for example, I have this bit that I talked about way back in the podcast when I talk about my health, and I was talking about how I had appendicitis and everything. So if I just start a set and I'm just going on, I'm like, oh, a few weeks ago I had appendicitis, and so what happened was I went home and I started.
No, if you started a set and your first laugh point is at like 3 minutes in, that is not good. Even if the story is amazing, people will be like, dude, that's a comedy show. What are you doing?
It took too long, right?
Yeah.
So that bit, like I analyze it before watching some of my videos, because in the beginning it's weird because like here I'm talking about throwing up over and over again. They're like, I don't want to hear about this. This is terrible. But had I done 10 minutes of funny stuff and I go into the story like, I want to hear about your life. Oh, really? Wow, those are struggles, So it's a weird perception.
It's also a lot of it is honestly tricks in a way. It's not necessarily mind games, but it's how you trick the audience into following, keeping their attention, basically.
All right, so just for marketing purposes, we're going to say the word trick, we're going to change it with persuade. How do we persuade the audience?
Yeah.
Okay, when you say trick people, I don't want to come to the show get tricked.
I mean, people pay for magic shows, though.
True, yeah.
So in a way, I genuinely believe it's exactly like acting, where acting is also just a trick.
Well, for a lot of comedians,
you believe the guy on screen killed the other guy.
True.
And when the acting is really good, you genuinely
You go
believe that he killed them.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, like, if you compare magic to comedy, it is true. Like, a lot of open mics, every comedian goes up there is like, is this a punchline?
Right.
Is this a punchline? Where's the punchline? Is this your punchline?
Actually, we should call it the open mind. You just come in with an open mind.
Well, some open
mind night.
Yeah, if you've been to some of the open mics, you better go with an open mind for this one. I've been there before. Like, this guy's going on. Oh yeah, we better have an open mind for this one.
Yeah, it's so funny because you also see other people who have been doing it for 15 years or whatever.
Yeah,
and they're only stuck in the open mic circuit.
Correct.
Because
the open mic trap, basically.
Yeah, the open mic trap, and I hear about that in other scenes like New York or LA or whatever. People just go into open mics. They're very happy. Sometimes they have super tight 5 minutes, but they have they don't want to take any risks.
Yeah. They're comfortable.
They're very comfortable.
Yeah, that's a little zone.
But they're also stuck there, which kind of sucks because if you wrote really, really airtight 5 minutes, means you can write more.
Yeah.
It means that you have that skill in a way. So why don't you just push yourself a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
it's
so
difficult.
This is the process. A lot of people ask me, so like, how do they get started and everything? Right? So I tell them this is a very simple thing. Like, you basically, my suggestion is you take a story that you find interesting about your life or whatever, go to an open mic and pretend you're just telling a friend.
Yeah.
Okay. You do that and see what it feels like. Because again, when you try to write something too perfect and you go on stage, you're like, oh, this is not perfect. I give up. It's terrible.
Yeah, and you also you set yourself up for failure basically because you already have expectations in your head that everything you're saying is hilarious.
Gold.
And then you go up, you're like, they didn't laugh at this first thing, and you panic.
Yeah, I'm a failure. Let me go back to my job. Yeah, you have that. And then you do that, and then, like you said, a tight 5 minutes or even like a tight 3 minutes itself already gives you maybe a ticket into performing at an actual paid show.
Correct.
Right? So in our Cantonese scene, what we usually do is when you have a 3 minutes that's like, oh, this is solid, we tell you, go to open mic, do it one more time. Pretend this is a real show. You do that, then our next Cantonese show, just before the last performer, we give you a 3 minute slot. So by then the audience is kind of in a good mood, and we tell them, hey, this is a new kid, give them some support.
And even if he doesn't do well, the headliner is going to save it.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So people say, oh, 3 minutes, whatever. I'll give it a shot and see what happens. So you have that kind of ecosystem, I should say. Right. So there are open mic people who basically get stuck over there. And this is what I tell people. I say, look, I understand you're comfortable, but what you're doing is a disservice to yourself as well. Because if you could get to open mic a good 3 to 5 minutes, that means you have the potential for maybe a 10-minute bit.
Exactly.
So why are you limiting yourself by being comfortable over here and not going the next phase?
I mean, I don't know. I don't want to give them excuses because I don't like that people do that. But at the same time, I feel like people like this might just look at it as a hobby, as a hang once a week or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
What does suck about scenes like Hong Kong or like small Asian scenes is that you are taking away a spot from someone who could be potentially taking it more seriously.
Yeah.
And because obviously in an open mic night, except here, which there is no limit, like there is no limit on the night.
Performers.
Yeah. It's like you can have 45. There is no cap. You can have 45 minutes on a night. 45 people. Yeah, but generally speaking, the open mic is capped at like an hour and a half or 2 hours maximum.
Yes.
So, but if you're gonna go up and do your tired 5 minutes, even if they're good, but you're not trying, there is this other person who might want to sign up, but there's no spots.
Yeah.
And I find that kind of frustrating as someone who books people as well. I'm like, don't don't do that. It's exactly the same. Timing the same, breath moments are the same. If you're not changing anything whatsoever, just don't do it.
Yeah, exactly. Or just do once a month. You don't need that much practice.
Yeah, you don't need that much practice.
Exactly. Like, you're pretty good at that. You do like 3 years. If you still need practice, like, man, you need to master something else.
That's right.
Yeah, you have that. Okay. So this is what I tell people finally, the whole process of this. Okay, when you go to see a live show, you're seeing the final product. There's an actual certain joy in seeing a comedian start something, come back a month later and be like, whoa, that's the final version of it, right? And it's like you said, you could be like, I saw this joke when it was still that version of it. And that's what I find. I like to feel myself doing open mic nights because I want to see that bit maybe like 3 months down the line when I'm like, oh, I tried it that way. Wow. Yeah. Okay. I never thought, it'll shift completely. Yeah. And eventually all these things will just grow over time. And come down to an open mic night whenever you have a chance. We have so many of them. For example, I like Monday nights is Bar 109. Yeah. Tuesday nights is Aftermath. Yeah. Then, of course, come to backstage shows whenever you want to see the actual thing. Yeah. And you never know. Some backstage shows
Cantonese
you might be
shows as well.
Yeah, Cantonese shows we have. Our Cantonese, we actually have open mic nights on Sunday nights now in Cantonese.
Nice.
Yeah. So we have it at this place called Sip Sip in Tin Hao.
Okay.
So So over there on a rooftop.
Every Sunday?
Pretty much every Sunday,
Nice.
except the last Sunday of every month, we go to the Aftermath for a Cantonese open mic night.
Yeah.
So we have that as well. So like, for example, tonight, we're actually going to do a Cantonese open mic at Aftermath.
Nice.
So
Okay. Well, by the time they hear that, it was already last night.
It was last night. So you guys, people, live in the past.
Yeah.
All right. So real quick. So what we actually have ready for you today's episode is basically like a little mini open mic session.
Right.
Of ideas that Mo and myself have been working on or have worked on, and maybe like kind of put it aside for a while, or it's like, hey, you know what? I'll just throw it out there and see what happens without my face.
Yes.
I see what happens over there. So
yeah, it's also like sometimes, you know, I grab you right before an open mic. I'm like, can I run this past you?
Yeah.
So this is exactly what we're doing now.
Yeah.
Sometimes, even though we did say earlier, like you can't have the entire bit only practice it by yourself or even on someone, but sometimes when you trust and you like the other person's comedy, you want their opinion on a bit, even if you have never done it. Like famously, Jerry Seinfeld, his last book is called "Is This Anything?"
Oh yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do.
Yeah.
Sometimes right before a show, like, do you think?
Yeah, can
I take this somewhere else? Like another direction?
Yes.
One of my favorite guys was on a guest on the podcast before, is Chris Moosney.
Yeah.
I run a lot of stuff past him because he's a prolific writer, but he has kind of a weird, twisted way of looking at jokes.
Correct.
And I really like it because I come to him with like an idea and I'm like, I think this is where the funny is.
Yeah.
And he goes, yes. And you can also look at it from this other side.
Yeah.
And even though I've done it with him so many times, I'm not able to do it on my own.
Yeah.
So it was like, I'm not able to flip it like he does. He just has a different brain.
So that actually is a very good point. Before we do our little open mic thing, I used to have to do that before, bounce ideas off of my friends.
Yeah.
So like if I had, let's say, got like a corporate gig or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they wanted to do certain type of material.
Yeah.
And I'm writing, I'm like, oh, I don't know where to go with this. But the moment I bounce it off with my friend, like, boom, I got like, a good 10 minutes. One of the classic examples was way back when I did this thing for Samsung, right? The Galaxy phone came out. And they were like, oh, we got to do all these videos. And, our competitor, obviously, the iPhone 4, right?
Yeah.
So that time Siri was the biggest thing. So I'm writing, breaking my head. I'm like, oh, I don't know what to do. One day I'm just hanging out with my friend that I'm a good friend from school. We're just talking ideas. He's like, hey, you know what you should do? You should basically ask Siri which phone is better. And Siri tells you the Samsung phone's better.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, that's it. This is it. And that one video done.
Really?
Yeah, hit like, I don't know how many, like 1 million views or whatever. Went crazy.
Yeah.
The problem though with this campaign is that we had to do 6 videos. That was the first video, so I'm like, we're screwed.
So you killed it on the first one, and then you have 5 more. You're like,
I'm like, I raised the bar too high.
Shit.
We're in trouble now.
Yeah.
Yes,
What did you do with the other 5?
The other one, none of them stood out, except for this one where basically I was standing with this girl and I was biting in this apple. And the apple was all yellow and old and stuff. And the girl's like, ugh. And this guy
was there a worm coming out of that?
we didn't have that much budget for that. The worm was out of our budget.
Yeah.
That was the closest second of like, oh, the apples turn all yellow, go throw it away. Who wants that thing? I'm like, but everything else was kind of like, yeah, we prefer the first one.
So wait, so you bite into the apple and the girl goes, ew, and then that's it?
Yeah, basically, something about the phone as well. Like I wanted, it was, so the phone had this thing where you could kind of transfer contact information. If you tap it, like NFC was kind of new at that time.
Yeah.
So then that's the way I was like, hey girl, what's your number? We would tap the phone and she's like, oh, what are you doing? And I'm biting an apple. I'm like, hey, and she's like, oh, your apple's all yellow. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. And I walk away. That was the closest second. The other videos were all like, I even told Samsung, I'm like, why bother?
Yeah.
Just stick to one.
Yeah,
we
exactly.
did it. We got you all the views. What do you think? Like, no, but we need to have 6. I'm like, why?
It's corporate bullshit, right? Like someone high up decided that 6 is the number because his child was turning 6 or whatever.
Something like that. Yeah. The feng shui master said 6 is the lucky one. I'm like, no, 1 was fine. 1 is a number. It's good enough. So those small things you have to bounce off a friend. So that's a good point that I tell people as well. Come to open mic nights. You get to know the comedians and you get to know who is the better comedian to bounce ideas off of.
Yes.
You got some of them who are the casual talkers. Hey, this will be cool. But you want the comedian who's basically kind of like Chris Muse is a good one, as in he doesn't see the first idea he gets.
No.
He's giving you the 4th idea he thought of.
Exactly.
And then you're like, oh, that's pretty good. And his fresh perspective makes you go like, oh, this is totally opening 20 doors for me now.
Yes.
I can totally go the other direction with this. And that's what you want. You have
the other thing that I have been really enjoying lately is going back to my really old notes. And now that I'm a more experienced comedian, I can look at the same premises. I'm like, oh shit, there was so much there that I missed. just because I was a new comedian.
Yeah.
And I can go back to it. I actually brought some today as well.
Nice.
So we can like, it's also like, I'm going to tell you, I will try to remember the terrible versions that I have of them very early on.
Nice.
And then we can work them out. But yeah, all right, you go.
Let's do this, everybody. It is time for the podcast open mic. So I actually do have sound effects for this, but I just realized, no. I do, but I realized this mixer right now, I did not press the record for that channel.
Whoops.
Hey, so I'm going to do it myself. Boop. Okay, so the first thing is I actually have is that it's about the Olympics and everything. I was looking at all the different types of sports that they have, and I always wonder, like, how do you know at what point are you ready for the Olympics? Like, at what point, like, for example, fencing in Hong Kong now is huge, right?
Right.
That's the biggest thing. And I was thinking, I'm like, this is definitely just a clear difference is that one parent did not see the potential the other one did. So, for example, a typical parent, a kid's poking at the parent, like, mom, poking at mom.
Yeah.
Right? Typical parents like, oh, you're so annoying, right?
Yeah.
But I bet you the Olympic gold medalist mom was like, you have a talent. This is really good. This technique of poking me, I feel like you can do this for the rest of your life. You have that one. And let's be honest, I mean, poking and fencing and stuff in Hong Kong is such a simple thing because like we've been practicing all our lives with the door closed buttons in the lift.
That's
like going
funny.
for that one. So I'm like, I can see why we got gold.
There is something else, not just with the lift, but now with COVID, people use different objects to press the buttons.
Correct.
So you can add that there as well.
Yeah, we've been learning how to do that. So now from the key, we're gonna go
from the key to the whatever. Well, people use. I mean, I understand the hygiene, but I think it's a little much.
Yeah.
Especially when they have the protective thing on the button, and it says like sanitize every hour.
Yeah.
And then you find this person who's like trying really hard not to touch it with his finger. I'm like, just fucking press the button.
Elbowing it and everything. I've seen
licking it.
Yeah. And they're like, just not my finger. I'm like, your tongue's worse, right? That's going to go directly in your system.
Yeah.
We have that one as well. And one last thing I want to say is that for fencing, can we please have one small adjustment? I feel that the Olympics needs to learn from like the WWE. And have a little bit more pizzazz to the whole thing.
Right.
So every time they get a point, they don't just go like, oh, thank you. They should have like a Street Fighter move, like, you win, and you like strike a pose and don't get it. And then the last one when they poke it, they have to have a
How about they have fake blood as well?
Oh, that would do it, man.
Yeah, because they're wearing like protective suits.
Yeah,
I mean, just have fake blood.
The technology definitely allows it.
Yeah, or at least on screen, like when people are watching, so they get more fans into fencing because now MMA is huge. UFC is huge.
Yeah.
And it's because some people like to just see blood and just people beating the shit out of each other.
Exactly, yeah.
So you want to get people into fencing, just add a little bit of effects on screen, or even like shitty like cartoon effects, like bad video games.
Blood, like, or even like the old Batman shows, like pam. Pow.
Yes.
Poof. Yeah.
There you go.
That will happen.
So ideas to get people into fencing.
So we have 4 years to make that happen. This is definitely something I'm looking forward to. So that was my first little bit about the Olympics with fencing and everything.
Yeah.
You got anything?
Yeah. So I have this idea. Actually, it's so I wrote it down like kind of word for word, which I usually don't do. So I'll just read it to you and be like, I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know what to make of this.
Let's do it.
So it says like, my mom wants me to get married and I'm not giving her any hope and she's really pushing. She's a traditional Middle Eastern woman. She started saying stuff like, maybe I'll ask around and send you some pictures. Maybe I can find you a nice girl. Same for Indian families, right?
Yeah.
So I want to be like, she goes like, arranged marriage. I'm like, God bless her. She doesn't understand how deep my trust issues go.
Yeah.
Like I've been away from home for too long. She thinks I'm just going to agree to someone like looking at a picture.
Yeah.
When, I don't trust anyone doing anything for me. But it's also ironic because that's how dating apps are.
Yeah, exactly. Right? You see the picture and maybe an emoji and you're like, okay, this is life. This is.
But dating apps somehow for us, this is I think where I find the irony is like dating apps for us are okay. Yeah. But your mom, who loves you the most in the world, finding you a wife, you're like, no, what are you doing?
She probably did all the homework already. Really got a detective and everything. You're like, I'm gonna go with this app that I can just swipe for. That's so much easier.
Yeah, and then I meet them and it's a dude and he beats the shit out of me.
Exactly. You're like, well, you know what? I'll swipe left you and I'll give you 1 star for you only. So.
Yeah. So I think the idea of like having your mom is because like, did you ever watch that Black Mirror episode when they had like it's a dating app in the future. It runs every possible scenario. Simulations basically based on the information they already have on you. So the episode is the simulation.
I see.
It's a really, really good episode, but it's quite complicated to explain.
Yeah.
It's simulation. And then at the end of the episode, plot twist, they finally meet in real life and they're already the perfect match. Because they ran every possible scenario for them already. And that's what we watch as audience. And I feel like my mom already did all of that because she knows me better than anyone.
True.
And she is that episode.
Yeah.
And I'm still like, nah.
Yeah. I bet you she's like looking at, okay, she's got blue eyes, he's got brown eyes, we got a combination.
Yeah.
I've done the research, the chromosomes tell me that he's probably gonna have green eyes kids and everything.
Yeah.
You have that. And she's probably thinking, okay, he's got this kind of stubborn attitude. She's kind of this person.
Yes.
Okay, that will work.
So she ran all of the simulations possible.
And still you're like, nah, I'm good.
Nah.
I trust this phone.
Exactly.
This will be better
I
for
would
me.
trust that Zuckerberg is gonna find me someone better.
This one random guy who has like a weirdest haircut in the world.
Yeah.
He knows
who looks like an actual robot.
Yeah, exactly. So well, that's very good. I mean, like, I think this is definitely a topic that a lot of people our age is definitely gonna have to face now. The whole marriage issue, right?
Yeah.
Which of course brings you to another point is that, okay, so can you make a counter offer to your mom? But okay, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I see what you're offering me now. Can I get something just like that, but maybe like slimmer? Like, or maybe she does this, you know?
I mean, to be honest, like in real life, not even a joke, if I go down that path with my mom, she's totally going to listen to me. I'm like, okay, I like her, but maybe someone a little slimmer, a little taller, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then she will listen to me. I just genuinely don't trust she's gonna, but it's really fucked. And that's, I think, where the joke is coming from. Is like, I'm like, no, don't pick fucking anything for me. I can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also very arrogant in a way. It's like,
it's a very guy thing.
It's a very guy
thing. Man,
thing.
I can handle it myself.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right.
And then you coming back with a black guy. You're like, Mom, I'm on it, man. I know what I'm doing. Relax.
Yeah, I'm doing well.
Yeah, I'm fine. I installed this new app.
Come back broke after I spent all my money on dates that didn't go anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
She's like, how about now? I'm like, no.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then she like finally puts that whoever she's trying to offer puts the girl on Bumble or whatever, and then you go out with that person. You're like, oh, she was all right.
Yeah, she's like, fuck you. I've been telling you that for 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah. you wasted $100,000 in the last 5 years on women. And you go back to the original guy. This is ridiculous.
Yeah.
But so then, so does your mom have any like particular rules that she's okay? But like, because I would feel that
I didn't give her the chance.
Oh, okay. No, the reason I say this is because like it feels like a negotiation where you say, okay, this is my offer. Okay, this is the family. This is what I want. You're like, okay, I tell you what. I will go with the same gender, but I'm going to go with the different race. And okay, I see your race. I see your race issue, but I want the brunette. Okay, I'll keep the brunette part. Yeah. And you keep coming to the middle ground of like finally like you're with somebody.
Just like a business negotiation, basically.
Yeah. And then you finally with somebody you're like, I half like you. That's the most I love you. Like,
to be honest, that's every marriage I've ever seen is I half like you.
Yeah. So it's eventually going to be that way anyway.
Yeah,
you must enjoy the process.
Yeah. All right,
that's good. Okay, so coming back to Olympics again. So I was watching a lot of the Olympics, and one of the things that I really was appreciating the most was the gymnastics.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the gymnastics, what I do find though is that they are the most arrogant performers of all of them.
Oh yeah.
Right. Like, you got like the buff guy who's basically running and hops on the little thing that then bounces off whatever. Right. So
they also run so douchey.
Yeah.
Like even if I get that you're like a professional athlete, but you don't have to fucking go
the hands
like
on
Terminator.
The arms straight.
Yeah, exactly. It's so annoying.
It's so Terminator, right? Yeah, exactly. The Terminator run like, and no expression on the face.
No.
Like, oh, I'm so excited. Like just like
it's kind of like models on catwalk. It's like,
exactly.
can you just smile?
Yeah, right. Why are you so upset? It's free clothes.
Yeah.
We're looking at you. We think you're beautiful. Like you're
someone in this industry, please explain why models look so fucking grim.
Yeah, exactly.
on the catwalk.
Yeah. So this is what I asked somebody one time that because we want the focus to be on the clothes. I'm like, just because they smile doesn't mean I'm like, what am I looking at?
Oh my god, yeah. Is she winking at me? Like,
exactly.
Does she like me?
Exactly.
It's just a human being. Their default should be smiling.
Yeah, exactly. If we don't smile, we get arrested. But they don't smile, they get a job.
And also, if you want the focus to be on clothing, why do you always have to have them super good looking?
Yeah,
that actually doesn't make any sense.
Exactly.
Just have ugly people then,
correct,
and then we're not gonna look at the face.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So that's why you look at them. You see this ugly person, the clothes do it.
Exactly.
The clothes work. You're like, wow, if that's gonna look so good on this ugly guy, it's gonna look great on me.
Yeah, that's right.
So coming back to the gymnastics, so this is what I find though is that they're the most arrogant because like after they do whatever they do, they land on the ground and they have this like pose like, am I awesome? Am I just awesome with the arms raised up and looking, and they don't just look forward, they look left, they look right, like everybody, you agree, right? I'm awesome, right? Then of course, after they do that, then they realize, wait a second, my coach told me to be humble, so I will do one bow of humility and then leave.
But it's also very robotic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like kind of like you didn't mean that.
It's almost like if you are a comedian, and actually you can weave that into a bit somehow with like body language. If you're a comedian, after every punchline, you go, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
And then you look to the left, you look to the right, and then finally, just before you end your set, then you get a score.
Yeah.
This was a 9.3. Difficulty. That would be so cool if every comedian before they go on, they can declare this difficulty of my set is going to be a 3.7 difficulty. Okay, I'm expecting I'm going to have like a little punchline. I'm going to have a twist. I'm going to have a little dark bit. Okay, that's what we're doing. Okay, let's try. And we have that. That'd be
funny.
so cool. And lastly, I want to say, how come there are no sponsors for clothes whiteners for these gymnasts? Like they've got the whitest socks ever. I'm like, for people who run around like on those dirty, muddy mats and everything, how are your socks so white?
Yeah.
Like I just walk around my house and I don't even wear the
Clorox.
socks. Yeah, Clorox USA team.
Yeah.
That'll be happening. So I'm just looking forward to that. So hopefully one day I will know. I will be able to do that in some set. I won't be as buff. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I will definitely not wear like a wife beater and jump around and everything, but I will definitely...
Not yet. Just wait for 10 years.
Exactly, yeah.
The wife beater will grow on you.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I'm like, wow, this is part of my body. This is not a suntan. This is an actual clothing.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was my little take on gymnasts. And I must say, out of all respect, I think you're doing a great job, everybody.
I don't, but whatever.
Yeah, not trying to mock whatever you do, but I'm just trying to say you're a little bit too buff for this. Really
I think the bodybuilders are kind of annoying too.
Yeah.
It's I'm like, you don't actually have to do that because we already see your body is amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, why do you have to squeeze so hard? And then the oil as well. Like, I get the oil that they have to like show.
The contours and everything.
Yeah, the contours and everything. But it's like, come on.
Yeah, and then you got the skin darkening lotion as well.
Yeah.
I'm just like, guys, this is you
is the skin darkening also to again show the contrast in a way? Yeah.
So you see better. So that's why like a lot of people with darker shades, like let's say black
I think this is also where blackface is totally allowed.
Yeah.
For white bodybuilders.
Yeah, exactly. So every time you're like, are you racist? No, I'm a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
In progress. I'm working at it. This is day one for me.
Yeah. Day one. I started with the blackface. We'll go to the gym later.
Yeah.
But for now, it's
just a matter of time before
I'm dressing for the job that I want.
Exactly. Just the job that I want. I want to be black. I was like, okay, maybe not. Okay, cool. Do you have anything?
Let's do one more. I have. Let's see.
I'm gonna let people hear my pages.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a bit that I kind of did a couple of times on stage, but I think you can help me with it. It's basically because I run shows and I book comedians. People always ask me like two folds of it. One is like what it takes, what we talked about earlier, to get an open mic or get it on a show.
Spot,
But the second side of it is like why there's not more women. So the first part is the joke that I have is like because it looks fun, but it's very difficult, which is exactly what we talked about earlier. Yeah. But I'm like, I get that you see it's fun, but you still need to be funny. Right?
Yeah.
Like you still need to have the thing that is required for that job.
Yeah.
And again, from my writing process, I draw a comparison.
Yeah.
I'm like, what looks fun, but is you have to have what it takes. And I go, it's kind of like joining the KKK. Like it looks fun, but you still need to be a racist.
Yeah, and you have to be white as well.
yeah, exactly. So see, that's white. I didn't even include in that bit.
Yeah.
But I just thought, because obviously the misdirection here is like, it looks fun. It shouldn't be fun.
Sure.
Yeah. But like, it looks fun, but you still need to be a racist. And I find the humor in like, that's what it takes. And then I didn't do that. So the ideas that I have for the bit to go further is like, imagine like, we all know like open micers are kind of terrible and they come every week for the hang or whatever. Imagine like the guy who just is the KKK for the hang, but he's not actually that racist. But he's trying really hard. So he's like, they're just sitting around hating. Everyone is hating. And he goes, the Jews are all right. It's like,
that's not the word you use.
Yeah, exactly.
They're all wrong. That's what you said. I bet you anything the KKK had open mic nights. All right. So Willis over here is going to try to join us, and let's just say put him on stage. Willis. All right, here's a Jew. Say something. This guy's nose is nice. Oh, he's out of the club. Hey, how dare you say?
Or like, they catch someone watching the NBA on their phone or something. You're like, oh no.
And you're not commenting about how the colors all shifted. That's right. You should say something. That would be so awesome. I think honestly, people who want to do shows and everything, I'm like basically like, how do I want to go on stage? I'm like, I want to do a spot, like be funny, like, but I'm having fun on time. Like, you see how fun and funny have
things.
and Y on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, right now you get an N and an O. So
Yeah.
hopefully if you're funnier, you'll get something better and we'll give you a spot. And that's what I find as well. Some people really like, oh, you just gotta have fun on stage. Like, yes, that's
Yeah, but the
second
audience
part.
also need to have fun.
Correct. Yeah, they're the paying customers.
Yeah.
You know, you don't go to a restaurant. The chef's having a good time. So
Yeah.
yes, but I'm the patron. I want to be
He
enjoying
gives
the
you
food.
like a fucking durian pizza.
Exactly.
He had fun
Yeah,
making it, and now you're fucking in the hospital.
Exactly. Yeah, that one. Or like he takes a bite out of the pizza. I was like, he enjoyed the food. like, no, you don't get to have a bite out of my pizza. I'm the one who should be eating it.
Yeah. You can take the bite if it's the durian.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you take that off, man. I tell you what, I'll let you have a bite after I'm done with the
Yeah.
stuff. There's too much here. Here's a piece for you, chef.
So the other bit, which is like why there is not enough women on the shows, which, on serious note, like totally like reasonable thing to ask, but the joke that I have is like because male comics need, or people like men in general need the validation more than the women do.
Oh yeah.
Like, because look at both of us, like
Yeah.
that's not what we look like, and
Yeah.
most of the scene
Yeah.
is like people who look like us or worse. It's not a
Exactly.
great look.
Yes, correct.
And it's like we want that validation because if you're a good-looking woman, or generally speaking, just traditionally,
Yeah.
like people look at women as like, I appreciate their beauty or their attractiveness.
Yes, correct.
But people look at me, I'm fucking invisible. And the only way I can get attention is
Yeah.
to hold the microphone and
Yeah.
talk at people.
Yeah. Oh, very true.
Either that or just scream like a homeless person, like be on the street, be like,
Yeah.
hello, look
Yeah.
at me.
People will look at you, but with different looks.
Exactly, that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So this is one of the ways, and I feel like this just applies. Obviously, there is an exaggeration for the comedic effect.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is why there is a lot more male
Men.
comics interested
Yeah.
in it, because when you're a woman walk into a room, people will notice you, whether you will like the attention or not.
Yeah.
But people will never notice me unless I hold a microphone.
Yeah.
And also, they are not allowed to speak.
Yeah, so they gotta force. I have to notice.
They
it now.
have to be forced to notice me. That's the only way I can get attention.
Yeah. And even if even if they do speak, you're like, my mic is louder.
My mic is louder,
still here.
and I'm allowed to kick you out.
Yeah. I've got to put all that stuff together, so I kind of feel like they actually want to listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
So that's a very good thing. I just thought of just now is that what you can tell people, a lot of people that you see. This is why we should be staring at women more, giving them more attention. Because if we don't,
Yeah.
you're gonna end up looking like us.
That's right.
You're gonna be on stage, hey guys, please listen to what I have to say.
Yeah.
So you're welcome.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna look at you and you and you and maybe not you. I'm gonna look at you, right? And so because it's true. I mean, had we gotten the attention, like the whistles when we walk down construction
Yes,
sites.
that's right. I would never have
yeah.
done comedy.
I'd have been like, maybe let's have. I'll be
Yeah.
a teacher. I'll be like, let me try to help the world.
Yeah, I would wear a suit and go to an office and be a person.
Exactly. Yeah.
Not fucking work in one
exactly.
try at 9 p.m. on a Monday.
Yeah, trying to
for a
entertain-
free drink.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah, totally. Hit on us, ladies.
Yeah.
Just cat whistle. Also, like, there is nothing really they can say that they can be like, whoa, okay.
yeah,
It's
you
like,
went
just-
too far. Don't say that
just
about
try
me.
it.
So that's another good point.
Actually, there's a counter to that, or to that point. If you want less male comedian on the scene, start
Yeah.
hitting on us more,
Yeah.
giving us more attention,
Yeah.
and then I promise you, a lot of us will just quit.
I promise you, like if randomly you see us on the street or like out and about, like, hey, I want to buy you a drink. You're like,
Yeah.
why? I'm trying to help women get on comedy. Okay, you're like,
That's it.
whoa, okay,
Yeah.
and then because comedians whose confidence gets raised up, highly likely their comedy bits go down.
True.
Because you feel good about life. You're
Yeah.
like, hey, life's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
And then you simply talk about how good your life is, and nobody wants to hear that.
No.
No one wants to hear how good your life
No.
is, right? So that's a good way to help the scene out. So, ladies,
Yeah.
the ball's in your court. Do something.
Help the women in the scene. So, yeah, exactly. So it's on them, not us.
Yeah, exactly.
That's also me not taking any responsibility whatsoever.
Yeah.
For booking anyone.
Yeah, don't blame me. Blame the scene. I
Yeah.
mean, like,
No, blame the other
Blame-
women who's
yeah,
not
yeah.
hating on us enough.
Exactly. Yeah, your friend over there is not looking at me, so I don't know. I
Yeah.
can't give you a spot in my show.
Yeah, and also I have to go up on stage and scream at people now.
Yeah.
I think one last thing to the point is, I also find it funny that not only that I'm screaming at a microphone to get attention, if you try to, which is basically a heckler, if you try to steal my attention, I'm gonna kick you out
Yeah.
and keep your money.
Yeah.
This is how much I want the attention only for myself.
Yeah.
You understand?
And that's the power we put up.
Yeah.
Where people actually are willing to be part of this experiment. Be like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to give it a chance.
Yeah.
And I feel like I should have to say something. This is, I feel like I should I do it? I'll do it. Let me do it. Right.
Yeah.
And usually a lot of times the hecklers that we do kick out and keep the money usually are men.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
why
that's
aren't
true.
there more women hecklers? What about that, huh?
Yeah, more. Oh, please heckle us, ladies.
Exactly.
Love a lady heckler. That means I'm getting attention from women, which is exactly the crux of the whole bit.
Exactly.
It's like, just give me any kind of attention.
Yeah.
Heckle me, throw your drink at me. I need female attention.
Correct. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. Throw your drink at me, get another drink as well. Help the bar. All right. Otherwise, if you really want to know what this is like looking at our faces when we do this kind of stuff, go to an open mic night and see what we look like actually on stage, making all these silly ideas.
That's right.
Happen on stage. And if you want, you're like, hey, you know what? I want to see your faces, but I want to also laugh as well. Go to an actual show.
Yeah.
If you want to know when the next show is, the Backstage HK.
Yeah. Actually, if you click on comedians on the Backstage HK website, you will see both of our schedules, like which show are we on next as well. If you want to look for a particular comedian, not just the two of us. Catch a show. The scene is kind of booming at the moment, which actually I want to get into for a second. Is like there is a lot of shows right now, and it's kind of hard to tell which ones are the good ones. Even if you see the same comedians on a lot of shows, my advice to you is to ask someone who has been to that venue or has been to that kind of the producer show before or that same promoter, and ask them how the experience was, not necessarily how the comics were.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we get booked.
Lineups
change. Not just that. Sometimes the lineup is really good, but the venue is terrible, and you're gonna have a bad experience.
True.
So please do us a favor and research the place and the promoter you're going to before you go to a show if it's your first time.
Yeah. And usually if you see one of us on the show, we probably are going to be doing shows that we feel are successful.
Correct.
Right? That we feel like this will be a good show. So
and which is why I do literally only my venue.
Exactly. Backing to the attention issue. It's like, I don't trust anybody.
I don't trust anybody. Yeah, it actually goes back to both the bits that I ran.
Yeah.
The trust issues. I don't trust anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And I want attention all for myself.
Exactly.
So this gives you a pretty good idea of me.
Even if your mom says, hey, go to that bar and do a show. Like, Mom, I will find my own bar and do shows there.
Thank you so much. Okay.
So back in track real quick again. Next show, go to backstagehk.com for some information. Otherwise, hey, you know what? The Laugh Festival is happening real soon. Come to the gala show on the 18th September.
Yeah, the website's up as well, right?
The website, laughfestival.hk has all the show lined up and everything.
I'm very excited for that. There's a roast, there's a bunch of shows, there's a gala show we're doing together, which is going to be quite big.
Correct. So
that's 18th of September,
18th September, 7 p.m. is the Cantonese show, 9 p.m. is the English show.
Awesome. Come to both.
Yeah, come to both and, listen, understand half. It